Welcome, listeners. I'm Zayd Haji, author, researcher, management consultant, and counselor. Today on the IGC GATE Podcast, we're diving deep into the real struggles of students and young professionals, the harsh ground realities of work and growth, and how we can navigate them with clarity, strategy, and purpose. This isn't motivation, it's a practical, reflective journey for you and me. Let me take you on a journey, not one about flashy success stories, not the Instagram version of hustle, but about survival, clarity, and strategy in a world that constantly measures you by metrics that may never align with your life. If you're listening to this, you might already feel it. The frustration of grinding from Monday to Friday, 9 to 7, barely catching your breath, 2 hours commuting each day, and when Saturday comes, half-day obligations, meetings, and emails sap what little energy you had left. You feel the weight of invisible chains, the slow erosion of ambition, and the creeping realization that hard work alone might not be enough. Let's start with a story that may sound all too familiar. There's a man I know, let's call him Rohan. Rohan joined a mid-sized company in 2021, fresh out of college, eager to learn, grow, and eventually secure his financial freedom. He worked tirelessly, handled projects, met deadlines, and adapted to office politics. Yet, after 5 years of relentless effort, his salary went from rupees 33,000 to rupees 45,000, a 5% annual increment, barely covering inflation. He thought maybe switching jobs would help. After all, a 30% hike seems like a windfall. But even then, his salary only reached rupees 58,500. For someone dreaming of buying a house or a bike, this was a rude awakening. The harsh reality hit. Promotions are rare, increments are minimal, and luck often plays a bigger role than effort. This is where Peter Drucker's principles from managing oneself become not just theory, but survival tools. Drucker asks, do you know yourself? Do you know your strengths, how you perform, and what you value? For Rohan, this was the beginning. Understanding himself meant stepping back from the comparison trap and asking the brutal question, am I investing my energy where it matters? Lesson 1. Discovering strengths. Rohan had spent years believing that working harder automatically brings growth. Drucker advises a different approach, feedback analysis. Write down decisions, actions, and outcomes, then review patterns after months. Rohan began journaling, tracking projects, moments when colleagues sought his advice, and tasks he completed efficiently. He realized he was misaligned. His strengths weren't in chasing KPIs or being the loudest in meetings. They were in problem-solving, mentoring, and system automation. Most people waste years improving weaknesses that barely become average. Rohan decided to build fortresses on his strengths. Lesson 2. Understanding how you perform next. Drucker asks, how do you perform? Are you a morning thinker or a night owl? Do you thrive in chaos or focus best in silence? Rohan noticed he worked best during uninterrupted deep focus periods, yet his office thrived on constant multitasking. The solution: scheduling 2-3 hours of focused work daily, batching emails, and negotiating focus periods with his manager. The difference was immediate. Productivity soared, self-blame disappeared, and he realized performance isn't just talent, it's environment alignment. Lesson 3. Clarifying values. Drucker emphasizes values as the compass. Rohan discovered that his company often asked him to compromise his principles, sacrificing weekends, doing meaningless reporting, and prioritizing quantity over quality. Misalignment was draining him. Rohan learned to prioritize projects aligned with his ethical compass. Values aren't abstract, they're the boundaries that prevent burnout. Lesson 4. Finding where you belong. Rohan realized the promotion treadmill he was on wasn't where he belonged. Drucker teaches that belonging is the intersection of strengths, performance, and values. Trying to fit somewhere misaligned leads to exhaustion. Rohan began identifying roles and organizations aligned with his strengths and values, preparing strategically for future opportunities. Lesson 5. Contribution over recognition. Instead of asking, why isn't anyone noticing me? Rohan flipped the question, what can I contribute? He began mentoring interns, automating workflows, and suggesting process improvements. Contribution became a transaction of usefulness rather than a plea for recognition. Slowly, he built a reputation as someone indispensable without burning out chasing titles or paychecks. Lesson 6. Relationships as capital. Rohan stopped envying colleagues. Drucker teaches, people are not failures, fits are. Understanding how others perform and respecting differences became Rohan's strategy. Relationships became real capital, mentors, allies, collaborators, helping him grow while maintaining energy and focus. Lesson 7. Planning for a second life. The most radical principle. How do you want your second life to be? Waiting for promotion or a lucky salary jump is gambling. Rohan started a parallel path: freelance consulting, online courses, skill building in emerging tech, and small projects aligned with his strengths. Within months, he had an additional income stream and a safety net, protecting his future while reducing reliance on luck. Now let's focus on solutions that transformed Rohan's life, practical, actionable steps that anyone facing similar ground realities can apply. 1. Mapping strengths and performance. Rohan created a strength performance matrix, listing skills, energy levels, and impact. He focused on tasks where he excelled, felt energized, and created meaningful results. Most employees waste years on misaligned tasks. Identifying high-leverage areas compounds results faster than effort alone. 2. Protecting deep work and focus interruptions and multitasking drain energy. Rohan scheduled focused periods, turned off notifications, and negotiated work blocks. This simple step maximized output and minimized fatigue. 3. Parallel income and skill diversification. Rohan didn't wait for salary increments. He developed skills outside work, freelancing, consulting, and content creation. These projects generated income, experience, and a safety net. Actionable. Choose marketable skills, start small, scale gradually. 4. Strategic job shifts. Switching jobs blindly won't solve the problem. Rohan researched organizations where his strengths and values align. He negotiated roles, not just salaries. Actionable. Prioritize role, fit over pay, align work with strengths and growth potential. 5. Value-driven contribution. Instead of chasing recognition, focus on output that matters. Rohan automated repetitive tasks, mentored colleagues, and solved real problems. Contribution naturally leads to recognition and satisfaction. 6. Building relationships. Map your network. Identify mentors, collaborators, and allies. Understand how they work and how you can support mutual growth. Relationships amplify impact far more than individual effort alone. 7. Financial planning and second life. Rohan automated savings, invested intelligently, and continued side projects. By building multiple income streams, he reduced reliance on his primary job and increased financial freedom. Actionable. Budget, invest, and grow parallel projects simultaneously. Mental and emotional recharge. Long hours, commutes, and weekend work drain energy. Rohan incorporated walks, workouts, meditation, and stimulating side projects. Treat energy as currency. It's finite but replenishable with strategy. The result? Within 3 years, Rohan transitioned from the draining 9-7 slog to a life where work, skills, and values aligned. His income grew beyond inflation, side projects created meaningful additional revenue, and he regained personal time. Most importantly, he stopped comparing himself to others and stopped gambling on luck. He became the architect of his own career and life. Rohan's story isn't a fairy tale, it's a blueprint. The system won't fix you. Luck is random. But deliberate, disciplined, strategic action will. If you're drained, underpaid, or stuck in a cycle of frustration, ask yourself, what are my strengths? How do I perform? What do I value? Where do I belong? How can I contribute meaningfully? How can I leverage relationships? What does my second life look like? Start today. Strategize, protect your energy, build skills that matter, contribute purposefully, cultivate relationships, and plan a parallel path for the future. Step by step, deliberate action turns exhaustion into momentum, stagnation into growth, and frustration into a life of purpose, freedom, and measurable success. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. 5 years from now, if you follow the treadmill, you'll be asking the same questions. But if you start now, like Rohan, you reclaim your time, energy, and future. And that journey is far more valuable than any 9-7 grind, any incremental salary hike, or any chance-based promotion. You and I often push ourselves to extremes, long hours, endless deadlines, chasing recognition, or trying to keep up with others, forgetting that Allah values consistency over occasional brilliance. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "The most beloved action to Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, was that whose doer did it continuously and regularly." Sahih al-Bukhari 6462. It is not the grand gestures, but the steady, purposeful actions that matter. And Allah reminds us in the Quran, "So pardon them, ask Allah's forgiveness for them, and consult with them in conducting matters. Once you make a decision, put your trust in Allah. Surely Allah loves those who trust in Him." Quran Surah Al-Imran chapter 3, verse 159. You and I must work with intention, consistency, and reliance on Allah, a balancing effort with mercy, patience, and trust. Struggle is real, but when our actions are purposeful, regular, and guided by faith, they become a source of lasting reward, growth, and inner peace. Thank you for joining me on this episode of IGC Podcast. Remember, every challenge you face is an opportunity to understand yourself, contribute meaningfully, and grow with purpose. I'm Zayd Haji. Stay reflective, stay strategic, and may Allah guide our paths to both worldly success and eternal reward.